Previously on the 9-month cruise, Royal Caribbean tried to scam cruise ship royalty, Adida.
And it was over $10,000. By the time I paid the fees and the taxes, it was probably closer to $11,000.
The 9-month cruise nearly ended early as they almost hit another ship.
We just had to do a maneuver to avoid hitting another ship.
And we learned that you should never interrupt a man eating a spring roll.
He said, I don't care how long it takes me to eat my spring roll. You will sit behind me until I'm done and then get off when I get off.
Now let's see what happens on today's episode of the 9-month cruise.
Well, it has been a while, hasn't it, folks? I promise I have not abandoned this series, even though I haven't uploaded this in probably about a month at this point. It might be longer, honestly, but I haven't abandoned the series. This actually is probably the longest running series I think I've ever done in my life. I mean, it's not very hard for that to be the case, because every time I've tried to do a series on YouTube, it's lasted about 2 episodes. But yeah, if I'm being honest, I just didn't know if you guys still wanted to see these videos, so if you do want me to carry on the series for the full 9 months, I think we're about 6 months into this point, so we're nearly getting towards the end. But if you do want me to carry it on every now and then, please let me know in the comment section down below. And to tell you the truth, I kind of forgot about this series up until I found a TikTok that was uploaded yesterday that said this. Thinking about how I haven't seen any content from those people on the 9-month cruise. Are they bored? Is there any drama? Where in the world are they? Hope they're good. Yeah, I think it's fair to say there has been a lot of drama, hence the reason why I've kind of run this topic into the ground at this point. And funnily enough, we have even more drama to talk about in this video, and there's some quite big situations here. We're talking about arrests, fights, even a fire on board. And you know what, we may as well start with a fire, because a video was uploaded literally today as I'm recording this video, probably yesterday as you're watching it, from Anthony Antoine and a bunch of other people on the ship. We'll get to the other videos, but specifically this video by Anthony that says day 157, fire on board.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. Deck 7, zone 7, stateroom 7.
There really is a fire on the ship, y'all. So what do we do?
I mean, quite literally every disaster that could have happened to the ship has happened at this point. I mean, I'm sure we all remember the Drake Passage situation. There was also a flood on board. A whole floor on the ship was completely flooded. Just in my last video, they had to do an emergency maneuver to avoid hitting another ship, and now we have a fire.
I don't know, they're just evacuating everyone over there. I mean, it's just smoke.
Is it?
No, there's concern that there's fire on the ship.
They just don't want people blocking the...
Deck below.
Also, can I just say, I love the world we live in right now, right? As soon as there's a fire on board, that should be a very scary situation. Record the TikTok. Oh, okay, we can see the fire department coming in. Wait, does ships just have fire departments? Maybe they're not actually moving at this point. Or maybe they do just have fire departments. I mean, that's probably a very chill job to have most of the time, because I would like to think a fire isn't that common on a ship. Oh, there's quite a few of them, to be fair, isn't there? What, are they getting a plan together? What are they gonna do? Oh, there's more coming up the stairs as well. Oh, wait, there's actually quite a lot of them. Right, I don't know if we ever actually get to see the fire itself. It seems like it was fairly big. Yeah, I can't lie. This must be a very terrifying situation to be in. If you're on a ship, especially if you're actually moving at this point, you're in the middle of the ocean and suddenly there's a fire on board. What can you really do? Oh, and I also found this video from our beloved Adita, which really puts in perspective how many people from the fire department were actually here. I mean, look how many there is. It's like they're just spawning in, like it's a video game. Oh, they're actually moving in now. Oh my god, there's just more. They're coming out of nowhere at this point. I mean, I don't know if this is normal, regardless of how big the fire is, because obviously a fire on a ship is an even bigger risk, because you're literally stuck in the middle of the ocean, right? If something goes severely wrong, it could go very severely wrong. But as I'm watching this video now with my lack of knowledge, it makes me think that the fire must be kinda big. Oh, and they're actually moving in now. Now, obviously, luckily, everyone was okay, which is the main thing, right? There's more coming up the stairs as well. It seems like they did a great job in putting out this fire, but again, a very scary situation. And it's only one of many scary situations that these passengers have had to endure throughout this 9-month cruise. And there was a point where, obviously, I was potentially going to go on it before I did the poll, and obviously the majority of people didn't want me to go on it. But there was a point where I was probably going to go on it, and I mean, yeah, this would terrify me. Now, sticking with Edita, she also uploaded another video where she spoke about multiple arrests that happened with the passengers and like fights that were breaking out.
Here's the latest tea from the Ultimate World Cruise.
Edita just loves TikTok at this point, right? I feel like she didn't do TikTok before this cruise. I think I'm correct in that. And she clearly loves it at this point.
We had 2 people arrested. One passenger had apparently brought a satellite phone to the Taj Mahal, which was confiscated and taken away from him. And he was actually put in handcuffed.
Oh, shit.
The Royal had to come to his aid. And he got back on board. I think he was even able to go to the Taj Mahal.
I mean, I've got to be honest, I didn't know that was actually a rule, but I'm sure that they were told about these rules before it actually happened. So it should just be a simple case of, you know, like following them. Especially if you're in a different country, you've got to respect the rules in different countries. And you are just risking a lot for the sake of bringing a satellite phone with you, which doesn't really make much sense. I don't see why it's worth the risk.
Then there was another passenger, and I heard this. I know the satellite phone for sure, but I heard another story that another passenger got belligerent and started arguing with the authorities.
That does not shock me for a cruise at all.
This passenger was also arrested, got in trouble, and I think he might be back on board, but I am not sure. I think they did take him away.
I mean, yeah, like I just said, that doesn't surprise me at all. I'm not saying that from a point of view of being like, oh yeah, that's okay to do it. Obviously not. I'm just saying, they're on a cruise, drinking non-stop. There's bound to be a bad bunch that do stuff like this. It's just gonna happen. Edita also goes on to talk about people's trip to the Taj Mahal and says that it was meant to be like a 2-hour train journey, ended up being a 6-hour train journey.
People in group 1 that went to the Taj Mahal had a train ride from hell. It was a train ride that was supposed to be 2 hours long, and it ended up being like 6 or 7 hours long. The train kept stopping for no reason to let other trains pass by. So they missed the fort. They didn't get to their hotel till 3 o'clock in the morning. They had to be up at 7.
I mean, honestly, this trip just seems like a massive pain in the ass, doesn't it? And you know what? I can see how a 6-hour train journey would be worth seeing the Taj Mahal. Completely get that. But then when you put that on top of the fact that they're stuck on a cruise for 9 months, things go wrong 24/7, clearly, hence the amount of videos that I've made about this cruise. Like, it's just, at this point, I'd be like, right, I just want to go home. And actually adding to that point, Edita then goes on to say that when they were going through immigration, it was obviously like boiling hot. They're in India and people were like passing out from the heat and they were started fighting, getting aggy about it.
Fingerprints, scanned the passports, in the heat, all over again. People were starting to pass out because we were standing outside in the heat when we got off. So people left late for their excursions. Fights started ensuing because eventually Royal said, you all have to line up in the shade. It's like 109 degrees.
109 degrees, right? What is that in Celsius? 42 degrees Celsius? Gee, I don't know if I'd survive that. I remember one time when I was much younger and I went on a holiday to Turkey. I believe that got like, I think it was about 40 degrees or like really close to it. And honestly, it was torture. I could not last in that heat.
There was fights that happened. I saw people arguing. It was not pretty.
Huh, sounds so relaxing, doesn't it? Exactly what you'd want on your cruise. I mean, come on, like a cruise is supposed to be incredibly relaxing, or at least that's how I always imagined it, right? When people go on cruises, I'm like, oh, that seems just like a really chilled holiday, and you're on this massive ship. It's probably got like a swimming pool on the ship, you get to travel the world. Sounds brilliant. It turns out, probably not that brilliant, or maybe just this one isn't that great, but yeah, I probably won't be going on a cruise anytime soon. But moving on to the last topic, we actually have a series of videos from Beth Ann, 3 videos in particular, talking about the same situation, where there was allegedly a physical altercation between a couple of people, and one of the people involved we have heard about before. We'll get to that. But one of the people involved, the person who was apparently causing this incident, went on to just say some, like, insults for absolutely no reason.
This time, an older, white male passenger has shoved Bobby. Not only is that bad enough because you should never lay your hands on anyone, ever, but this person has also called Bobby a freak, an idiot, and an it.
Who are these people on board? I don't understand. Now, like I just hinted at earlier, this is someone that we have spoke about before, and like I said, we'll get to that in just a second, and you'll probably remember them. But I don't understand why these people have decided to go on a cruise when they clearly don't like people, if there's constantly arguing with people non-stop. It's probably the last place you want to be, you know, stuck in a ship with other people if you're not going to enjoy speaking to them. But then in a very bizarre twist in the story, Royal Caribbean actually decided to do nothing about this incident.
So it turns out security are doing nothing with regards to this passenger.
When security spoke to the man in question, he simply denied doing anything wrong. And apparently the security footage that they have reviewed simply shows him tapping Bobby on the shoulder and then moving past her, which is absolutely not what happened, according to Bobby, to Tam, and to other people who witnessed this.
Okay, look, I'm obviously not going to sit here and pretend that I know exactly what happened in this situation, because obviously wasn't there, didn't see it, don't have a clue. But apparently there's multiple witnesses that all saw the situation and say the exact same thing happened, but apparently they have also looked at the security footage and that proves otherwise. Now see, I could potentially believe that if that was just the story, but then I would say surely the passengers would go and look at the security footage themselves, and if they're lying, they can prove it. Well, apparently Royal Caribbean have said the only way that you're allowed to see the security footage is if you have a lawyer present.
They've also advised Tam and Bobby, if they wish to see that security footage that they've made this judgment from, they need to get a lawyer to obtain it for them.
Oh yeah, let me just pull my lawyer out of the ocean dead quick so I can see this footage. How are they supposed to do that? I suppose they could do it on a call, but either way, this seems very strange. Surely, if you've got people here, passengers, saying that they've been in a physical altercation where they've potentially been like physically assaulted, and they're stating this to you as a fact, and then you're saying otherwise, surely you can easily prove them wrong and put the situation to bed if you just show them the footage and show that they're wrong. That would be such an easy thing to do, but it seems like they don't want to do that, which, I mean, that's a bit fishy to me. But then in another very bizarre twist in this story, you might remember this guy right here, who is Dr. Greg Banks, who's also on the ship, because he went through a situation where a bunch of passengers were eating these spring rolls, and he finished his early and decided to leave, but then another passenger said, no, you're not allowed to leave until I finish my spring roll. Well, it turns out Bobby and Greg both decided to compare the people that they had these situations with, and yeah, it's the same bloke. So the same bloke who was fuming about this spring roll and someone leaving before he finished his spring roll is apparently the same person going around physically like pushing people and calling them a freak and an it and all this other stuff. I mean, yeah, I've already said it so many times before, but clearly there's some very like strange individuals that are on this ship who just want to cause drama with people, even though they're supposed to be having like, you know, the vacation of their lifetime, I guess, right? Traveling the world and chilling on the ocean, you know, it sounds like a dream, but apparently not to some people. They're just on there to cause conflict with people non-stop, which is very bizarre. But either way, that's going to be it for today's episode of the 9-month cruise. I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that I spoke about in today's video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like on it, subscribe if you are new, all that stuff. And until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, goodbye.